Project, a nonprofit dedicated to ending the elective declawing of cats. Please welcome Dr. Jessica Snyder.
So it seems like it's a pretty small group. Can you hear if I don't use the microphone?
Or you can come closer.
If I need to use it, I can. That's absolutely fine. As he said, I am a new staff veterinarian at the Shelter Medicine Department of Purdue. I'm also the medical director for the brand new Humane Society for Greater Lafayette. We just opened last September. Yes. But applicable to what I'm talking about today, I'm the Indiana director for the PAW Project. The PAW Project is a national organization. It is dedicated to ending declawing. And yes, thank you. And hopefully there's a couple videos left. We've got all of our documentaries out there in the vendor area if you would like to get one. So obviously we're going to be talking about declawing. The very first thing I want to do is take you through the anatomy of a declaw. I know that we all know what declawing is. We've all been educated as to that, but one of the important things is to think about how we describe it to other people. And so maybe going through the anatomy will give you a little bit better idea. We're going to talk about managing declawed cats in the shelter, both the environment that they are in as well as handling them medically and surgically. And then we're going to talk about setting them up for success in their brand new homes and how we can get people to buy into the no declaw movement. So first of all, we've got some anatomy. Hopefully you've heard these terms before. Cats and dogs walk digitigrade. They walk on their digits. So that is just, this is why I didn't want to wear I have to point at my fingers, right? I don't have a pointer. So they walk on the flats of their toes. They are walking on the last 3 bones in their hands. Obviously you can see plantigrade, which is humans. We are walking on a lot more bones. You see that a little bit closer here. The phalanges, each one is called a phalanx. We have phalanx 1, phalanx 2, phalanx 3, so P1, P2, P3. P3 is the one that contacts the ground. So you can see there how we have our weight spread over a very large amount of area when we are walking. We have the heel bone and we have the ball of our foot and we have our toes, whereas with cats, they have their toes. That's all they've got. Here you see a little bit easier what our P1 is on the left, P3 is on the right. We have our digital pad, which is right under P3. You can see the tendons there, you can see how everything moves, and you can also see how P2 fits in. Do I need to use it? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. Did you miss a lot? You can see how P3 is shaped and how, as the animal is moving forward, that digital paw pad is contacting the ground. Don't worry about the words on this. I'm just showing you the shape of the bone. That's what's really important here. For context, the black line at the bottom is the digital paw pad. That's what's actually on the ground. P3 has a very nice flat part of the bone that's on that digital paw pad that is what the cat is walking on. Then you have the notch over to the left where P2 walks. So what this bone does for the cat is actually allows it to move its paw over and flip it back up. It's grasping with the claws and it's extending and retracting the claws again. But if that claw is not there, if that bone isn't there, then we've got a problem. So we've all seen that awesome billboard or the, what's it called, the bumper sticker, where all of the fingertips are removed. You know, if you don't want this to happen, then don't declaw. Think of it instead of, don't take off your toes. So cats have 60% of their weight on their front paws. So they are not using them as graspers, they are using them as feet. So if you imagine having all of your toes cut off, that is what it's doing to the cat. So it's not just taking their hands, it's taking their feet. So imagining yourself standing, walking without having those toes, and having that for the rest of your life. It's gonna change your entire being. It changes your posture, it changes your locomotion, you're gonna have arthritis, right? So that is what we're doing when we declaw a cat. We have a little bit more here. This is just showing exactly the bone that is coming off. It has a little bit closer view of what is going to grow the claw as well. The bone marrow in there, every single part of it has the ability to grow back the claw. So we have to remove the entire claw in order to prevent it from growing back. And if you leave any of it, you have the potential of regrowth under the skin. Now, this is I really love these pictures. I'm so sorry, it's so hard to see, and I really apologize for that. But what you're looking at is the top. It has clawed cats. These are ones that have digital paw pads that are oval, they're smooth, they are well padded. The ones on the bottom are the ones where the claws have been removed. And now, what is the cat walking on? The cat's walking on P2, which is that rounded portion of bone. It has absolutely no flat part. There's nothing for the cat to push off of the ground with. So, especially the calico in the middle, or the tortoiseshell, you can see where that paw pad has become round, and there's calluses around it, and it's no longer functioning as a padding. It's simply there because the bone is wearing down onto it. So the changes in the shape of the pad can show you what you're doing to the cat. To make it worse, there are veterinarians who think that we might as well just leave that flat part of the bone, right? So if you've got that digital paw pad, maybe just leaving that flat part underneath it will help. So they take the claw at either the base of the claw, or they'll take it a little bit above, but they leave that bone at the bottom, thinking that the cat can use that to walk on. That doesn't work. Because, seeing this one again, look at where the tendons are attached. The tendons are number 7 and number 6. Anything you take off, if you cut number 7, what happens? 6 has nothing to work against. 6 is the flexor tendon. So it brings all of that stuff down. It is retracting the claw. If you have that flat piece of bone, you have number 6. It is going to pull that flat piece of bone so that it comes up under P2, which is the middle bone, and it's going to act like a pebble. Actually, worse, it's going to act like a Lego, right? Imagine having your toes removed. You've got your shoe on, so you're protecting your toe a little bit, or you're protecting your feet a little bit, but you've got a piece of Lego in there, and you're walking on that. And so that's what leaving that flat part of the bone does. So we don't really have, there's no good way of declawing, but this is an exceptionally bad way of declawing. So, we have a cat, and it's come into your shelter. Oh, first of all, I did want to ask, I like to have questions if you want to shout anything out. I just wanted to have time for questions in the middle. Is there anything that you wanted to ask about anatomy or anything? Because I know there's a lot of stuff. Yeah?
If you have a cat that's declawed, how do you know how far it's been declawed and how many?
Sure. How do you know how far the cat has been declawed? The only way you can find out is by x-ray. I'll have a couple pictures in here that I'll show you where they've been cut. But you do need to take them to a veterinarian to have that procedure done. Anything else? All right. So you get a cat in your shelter, and it's walking like this. I hope everybody can see this. There's no sound. how it's flat, that no longer has that nice rounded ability to walk where we're going over like that. It's trying to put its foot flat down because it does not have anything that it can push off of, or it's in such pain that it does not want to push off of whatever toes it has left. This is a cat that has been declawed. Obviously in larger cats, the larger the animal, the more it affects them, so you do get more large cats that walk like this than small cats, but this is not, I have seen this in small cats as well. So what are we doing? How do we handle this cat? So the first thing we need to know is that declawed cats, we think, oh, they have a built-in adoption base, right? We know that people want declawed cats. They're not actually in great demand, and actually their behavior, because they are declawed, puts them at a disadvantage automatically. So I don't know if you guys have seen the Dr. Moran's study, but she has shown that declawed cats are much more likely to show bad behaviors, right? We're just gonna say bad behaviors. They are 4.5 times more likely to bite than a clawed cat. They are going to be 7 times more likely to urinate outside the litter box. And they're 9 times more likely to show signs of aggression. And of course the reason is because, they're in pain, right? So for us, now you've heard everything about capacity for care, so you know the length of stay is so important here. A cat that is in pain is going to have an increase in stay because they have that undesirable behavior. They're house soiling, they have aggression. The reason that cats leave the building, we know number one, people are looking for highly interactive cats. They are looking for cats who want to play using their paws often, and they are looking for approachable cats. So we know that cats who are in pain are not going to show any of this kind of behavior, and they're going to stay a lot longer. So how do we manage them to get into the shelter, or through the shelter? We're going to start with our intake. Now everybody does their intake in a different way. However, the one thing we all do, vaccines, we do deworming. The one thing I do want to encourage everyone to do is to teach their intake staff or have somebody come and show them how to do a basic 3 to 5 minute physical exam looking for all of these signs of illness or sickness or injuries that might happen. This can lead to a standardized way of looking at all of your cats that will allow you to see kind of trends in behavior as they are going through the shelter. I have a standardized physical exam form. If you guys need one, I'd be happy to share it. My email address is going to be at the end. Every animal in our shelter gets this standardized exam. We always note the declaw status, just so we have that for behavioral purposes at the end of what we're looking at the end when we're releasing the cat. And also we have the weight and the body condition score. A heavier cat who is declawed is going to have more problems, for example, than a lighter cat. We also do a pain or behavioral evaluation as part of our physical exam. We are looking for evidence of pain. You know that when cats or dogs have a joint that's in distress or is swollen, they are licking, so evidence of over-grooming or barbering can be an evidence of pain. The one thing that cats also do that dogs don't do, we have dogs on a leash. They're running all over our intake room, right? We can see how they're moving. Cats, they're in a box. We pick up the box, put it on the table, we do our exam, and then we put the cat back in the box, right? So they're not moving around, and that's one of the things that we try to encourage everyone to do. Obviously, you want to put them into a small enclosed area, but when we get cats walking, we can often see that they're holding their paws up, or they're hunched over, or they're stiff. Those are very good signs of pain there. And then we can't sometimes distinguish fear from pain. That's a very, cats again, not a lot like dogs, usually happy-go-lucky, but cats tend to show fear by freezing. We can't really evaluate how they move because they are frozen. So we often need to put them into a kennel for a couple days, get them calmed down, and then reevaluate. So where are we going to put them? Housing options, right? The reason that we're going to talk about housing, you all are doing this. I promise you, everything that I'm talking about here, you are all doing. What I want to make sure that we know is that declawed cats need a more intentional way of housing them. So when you are putting cats into a kennel, I want you to think about why we're doing it and come back to them and evaluate them after they've had all of the benefits of the housing. So again, you're already doing this, let's talk about why. Pain and stress look a lot like each other. We just talked about that. So housing should attempt to alleviate both of those issues. Number one, housing should provide options. Cats really like to choose what they do. They want to choose, are they going to hide away and not be seen, or are they going to interact with people? Do they want to cozy up in a little bed, or do they want to stretch out? Maybe they want some soft, cozy surfaces, but also a lot of times cats like the calm or cool surfaces of the bare floor. So offering them all of those options is one way to alleviate stress. And we know that because we've done studies, their cortisol level goes down when they have a hiding spot, right? So if they have the choice to do those things, their stress can come down. We should also provide housing that allows us to evaluate these declawed cats doing natural behaviors. The hiding and climbing and stretching, jumping, if we can do all of those, then we'll have a better idea if these cats are in pain, or if they're just stressed. We also need to have housing that provides them the area to walk, right? We need to see them take several steps in a row, which we were talking about before. A lot of times they are just going to freeze. So in a housing situation, allowing them to step will allow us to evaluate their gait. How many times have we seen this picture, right? We've seen this a billion times. This is our gold standard cage for cats. It's usually 2 3x3 cages next to each other. It's portalized, it has the litter box on one side, it has a hiding space, elevated perch, soft surfaces. The thing that I'd like to point out here is there is a lot of space for the cat to walk. There is about, I think the standard is 28 inches by 30 inches of space that is clear of food bowls, litter boxes, and beds, so that cats can walk around a little bit. And that's what this cage does. You don't all have portalized cages, that's okay. We have other options. I love the curtailments on these. That's the curtains that are on there. The Correct Shelter Medicine Program has directions on how to make those. They have little buttons, and it's really cute. These cats don't need much. Doesn't need to go over the entire cage. It just needs to provide something where they feel like they can hide away and they're not sitting in their litter box. So I love the fact also that the one on the right, if every one could have a shelf, that would be fantastic because they can jump up and down. That gives us even more opportunities to look at their paws. And wouldn't we want to put everybody in group housing? With group housing, we do need to offer more space. Dr. Curry was showing a picture of something this size that had 50 cats in it. We don't want to do that. But if we have 4 or 6 cats in this room, I don't think that would be a problem. This offers all of the opportunities for us to watch that cat come out of its shell and move around in a natural fashion. Toileting is something that we don't think about a lot with cats. We have a litter box, they should use it, right? Declawed cats are a lot more finicky. We have the number one thing, which I have seen so many places, litter boxes do not go under shelves. They don't go under elevated beds. That is something super important. Cats posture to urinate by lifting themselves up, by stretching. We need to give them that space. Declawed cats are more likely to pee outside the box. Let's not give them any more reason to do. So that is my number one bugaboo out there. I also really love offering different types of litter. If we have declawed cats, I try to make sure they have soft litters. Oko cat, I don't know if you've ever felt that. It's one of my favorites out there. It is so soft. Cats tend to not have any problems with that one at all. Shredded paper is always a good option. Clay litter is okay, but I can tell you that most declawed cats preferred a soft clumping litter. I have had one cat that only used potty pads. I put the potty pads in the litter box and it would use the litter box. That was great, because it's not somebody's laundry, but not ideal. Still better than other options, right? All right, we've got our cat. We have seen this cat's walking around, it's inappropriately urinating, or it has some kind of pain that it's holding its paw up all the time. What can we do? Now, I'm a veterinarian. I have a lot of options out there because I can do prescription products, so I'm not going over prescription products today. Hopefully you're working with a veterinarian that has their favorite modes of pain control. What I'd like to do is go over things that you could get your cat in and you can automatically just start them on something you don't have to talk to your vet about, so that you have the flexibility of controlling that pain at the shelter. All right, there's a couple different types of pain in a cat that has been declawed. So we have musculoskeletal pain. Let's see. I know, this is just a little ouchy little thing. As cats are walking, their musculoskeletal pain can come from tendon contraction, which we talked about with that little tendon pulling that bone back. Chronic arthritis is a musculoskeletal pain. That happens because the cat is walking in a different manner. There's inflammatory pain due to fragments or even the regrowth of claws under the skin. Chronic draining tracts happen a lot as well with those. You can also have when the P2 bone is not contacting the digital paw pad and it wears through the skin. I've seen that happen. Nerve pain. Neuromas are this really crazy thing that happens when you cut off the end of a nerve and it tries to regrow back. Sometimes it grows into this little bundle instead of nice and straight. So if you're cutting off all of the toes, now they're walking on bundles of nerves, and that is just, yeah. And then wind-up phenomenon, which is also central neuronal hypersensitization. It just means that we are now interpreting things that should be comforting, like a pet or a pat on the head, as something super painful. So those are the three types of pain that we are actively trying to control. Well, there we go. All right, so medication options. Again, these are things I use daily, even though I have other types of products out there that I can use. I love glucosamine chondroitin. Cosequin is the brand. If you've heard of that, I think every arthritic cat should be started on Cosequin. I think it's a great product. Fish oil is a natural anti-inflammatory. One of the things that people don't realize though when they're doing fish oil is that it has two active ingredients, EPA and DHA. The two of those together need to make up about 50 to 100 milligrams per kilogram. So for an average cat, EPA plus DHA should be about 250 to 500 milligrams. Most fish oil products don't have that, so be sure you're looking for the active ingredients in that. Green-lipped mussel is another really good source of anti-inflammatory fatty acids. Adequate, love Adequate. It has been around for a long time. This is a prescription product, but it's something that you can have on hand at your shelter. Your veterinarian should not mind you doing this. It is a injectable glycosaminoglycan for arthritis. You can give these injections at the shelter yourself. And then my very favorite product from the last 5 years is Silencia. It extended my cat's life, I can tell you that. My cat was super arthritic, and when I started giving this, it's like we wiped out the pain. It was amazing. This targets nerve growth factor. And so anywhere the cat is in pain, is feeling pain, it will stop that pain. So arthritis, declaw, any kind of chronic pain. It's fantastic. We have some adjunctive therapies that you guys can do as well. Acupuncture, obviously you need to find an acupuncturist, but it has some really good reports out there, a lot of good research. A therapeutic laser, super expensive, but you can get one. It does actually do some good. We've had some really good success at it at one of my previous shelters. Has anyone ever used an CC loop? Yeah? Did it work?
It was for her back end, and it seemed to help a lot.
Yeah, so I've had some really good, like, anecdotal evidence that CC loops do work. Those you can put on their paws and work them just like this cat has on her back. And then cannabinoids, some of you are from Michigan, so you can use THC, we cannot. But CBD here in Indiana, we can use it about 1 mg per kg, somewhere between 0.5 and 2. That is something that you can have on hand. It takes care of both stress and pain, so it's a 2-for-1. And so you get that cat that's walking so poorly, you get the cat that's hunched over or is licking obsessively at one of its joints, and what can you do? So you can actually go ahead, start them on glucosamine chondroitin and fish oil. Then you can also add on the CBD drops. That's something that you can get, again, over the counter. Now, if you have a veterinarian who's willing to work with you with gabapentin, that's my other product. So that's the third thing I grab at. 50 to 100 milligrams per cat. When they're in this shelter, they tend to have a higher tolerance for it than when they're at home. But that is that's the triple threat right there. So all of these are going to help the stress as well as the pain. CBD drops, oh my gosh, they come in so many different flavors. Cats hate them all. So vanilla seems to be like the most bland. I guess you could try banana. I don't know. Vanilla seems to be the one that a human product that cats would most be okay with. Of course, if you're getting a pet one, the pet products are more expensive, so I usually go with the human products. But the pet products do have bacon flavor as well. And then if you are using gabapentin, if you haven't given it a try, open it up, put it in canned food. They almost never notice it. It's a great, yeah. I love gabapentin. Don't take it away. All right, so we also have surgical options. We know that a lot of cats do have pain that is unable to be controlled just by medicine. So again, this is things that are available to you. If you have questions about who provides these services, or if you have a veterinarian who wants to do these, again, please reach out to me. That is part of my job as the Indiana director. I would love to be able to talk with them about that. So here is our X-ray showing the fragments at the end of the P2s that are acting like the pebbles. So you can see on the left side we've got just fragments. Those are just accidental. They left them there. On the right side, I'm pretty sure the doctor was intentional about leaving that, because that particular piece is the flat piece. That's not doing anything anymore. That's not what the cat is walking on. It doesn't provide any function. All it's doing is working itself underneath the skin and causing irritation. So by taking out these fragments, all we're doing is completing the declaw. It doesn't, magically make the cat not declawed anymore, but at least it gets rid of that pain that it's feeling on the immediate side. As a reminder, this is that very busy slide. The orange here is where the digital paw pad is. And this is where it should be on the left. Remember, we've taken off P3, so all we have to walk on is P2. Hopefully that digital paw pad stays there and is nice and padded. However, the tendons are working to pull everything over there back. So the paw pad can actually end up here where the cat is walking like this. So the bone is coming through the skin at that point. So we can reposition the pad and put it back up under P2. It's not ideal, but it does, again, alleviate some of that immediate pain. And then tendon releasing. This is a cat whose tendons, as we've talked about, have just retracted so much that they're now frozen. And the cat is unable to straighten its toes at all and unable to then kind of move forward with that rolling gait. So we can release those tendons. This is a very nitty-gritty picture. The star and the plus are both that flexor tendon that we talked about before. The flexor tendon does split. If you take off all of P3, you're taking off the one that has the star. So what happens is that plus sign is left, and it is pulling back on P2. And that's what can become frozen. So this isn't like every cat needs this, or we should do this on every single toe of every declaw patient that we see. This is, if they are frozen, we can release that tendon on a few toes, and we can get that cat more comfortable. All right, we also talked a lot about environmental pain control. Are there any questions or anything that you wanted to stop me for? Yeah.
I actually have a quick question.
Yes.
When they start using like the supplements, like the fish oils and stuff like that,
Yeah.
what do you expect as far as like how long does it take to actually take effect?
Yeah, that is the unfortunate part, is usually the supplements take, I've seen results in as little as 2 weeks, but I will say give it at least 4. And that's why I like the CBD too, because that starts them on something in the meantime. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any negative to doing the supplements in advance if you know they're declawed but you don't see any direct problems yet?
There is no problem with doing prophylactic supplements. I think that, again, I'm a huge fan of cosamine chondroitin. Again, it's worked really well in my hands. I know there's some people out there who don't think it does much, but I have definitely seen a difference, again, in usually 4 weeks-ish. But you might as well get them started early, right? Yeah.
Should all cats that are declawed that come into a shelter get an x-ray to make sure there's nothing wrong, or only if you see problems?
There's no should. Should all cats get an x-ray, all declawed cats in a shelter get an x-ray? Ideally, wouldn't that be great? I would love for that to happen. Does that happen in most shelters that I work with? No. But the ones that are in pain, I think that that is a very reasonable next step for these guys. All right, let's talk really quickly about setting them up for success. We have a few tips. I love this cat. He's very proud of his claws. Now, it is not a problem to adopt out a declawed cat into a clawed cat household. Cats can defend themselves. Unless you've got a huge bully cat, you've got a bigger problem in that situation, but don't worry about that part. But tell adopters that a lot of times these declawed cats are going to need some extra time. I know you talk to them, hey, let's do slow introductions, right? Well, this needs extra slow introduction. These declawed cats often feel very vulnerable because they can't protect themselves. So a lot of times they might need an extra week or two. They might need a whole room that is theirs that other animals can't get into just for the first bit. So expect a longer introduction. They may need special surfaces to keep them comfortable. A lot of declawed cats don't want to walk on, for example, hardwood floors or tile. So they may need introduction to the household with lots of area rugs around. And over time, I'm sure they'll get used to it. Well, in fact, I've never known a cat that wouldn't. But if they're in that much pain, they do need veterinary care if they can't walk on a hard surface. But start them off with some soft ones. Oh, the big one, prepare your adopters to try multiple types of litter, right? We send our cats home and we say, yep, set up a litter box, you'll be fine. These declawed cats, you may say, let's set up 3 to 4 litter boxes, different litters. Let's figure out which one the cat likes. It's much better that they do that. They spend a little extra money on that initial investment than having the cat come back in 2 weeks because it wouldn't get used to the litter box. It hated the cover and it was peeing all over somebody's laundry, right? So if you prepare them, you set them up to have multiple types of litter, then you can usually have a happier person and a longer home. And then I know it's really weird, but providing declawed cats with scratching posts, remember that cats have scent glands on their paws. So if you have, especially in a multi-cat household, a declawed cat who comes in and you don't care that he's scratching on your couch now, right? That doesn't matter because he's not scratching anything up. Well, those scent markers can encourage other cats to come and do that. So having that appropriate spot to scratch is really important for these declawed cats, especially in these multi-cat households. Don't play with hands and feet, right? Not our hands and feet, at least. You can play with their hands and feet, but don't play with ours. That is so important with these declawed cats. I know you're imagining, going down and getting their bellies and everything, and that's great, except that what does the declawed cat have to defend itself with? Teeth, yep. So really important with these guys to encourage adopters to, let's play with wand toys instead. Have them be prepared to examine the claws or the paws frequently. We're looking for evidence of calluses. We're looking for evidence of regrowth. This is something that you can get cats very used to if you get them early. So look for those. And then the other signs of pain that may happen with these guys, think of change of personality. Formerly very playful cat is no longer wanting to run and jump, or it does not want to jump onto the couch because it hurts to jump off. Those are some really big things to send the adopter home with. And then the final thing that I have is educate your staff. Take back, the concept of we're not just taking off fingers, we're taking off toes. Take that back to your staff and encourage them to think of what other things can we imagine that a cat with no toes would need. Encourage them to advocate, talk to their adopters. I know you're all doing that already, but I think getting more people, the more people we get in there, the more ideas we can have for keeping cats comfortable. This is my favorite handout, fearfreehappyhomes.com. It's a one-pager. You can hand this out with all of your adopted cats, or all adopted declawed cats. It has a lot of the same things that I just talked about, but it also has some other things. Declawed cats don't need other cats to be declawed. So you're not just hearing it from some random person at the shelter. You're hearing it from these people who have been doing the studies. It also has a quote from the Paw Project, so I'll just throw that in there and give them another resource. Are we good on time still?
Yeah, about 4 minutes.
4 minutes, okay. I do want to, just a couple other things. Get adopters ready to advocate for no declaw. That's one of the biggest things. I'm just gonna skip through this. The Humane World for Animals, which used to be the HSUS, has an advocacy toolkit. And that is one of the biggest things that you can do. Get your adopters to be resources for other people in the community for being anti-declaw. And then the Cat Lovers Anti-Declawing Handbook is found at Little Big Cat. It has some amazing studies. It's super dense with information, but it's a really good resource. And that I want to make sure there's time. I want to make sure there's time for questions. So here's my information. It's a really annoying email address, but can't they give me just J. Snyder? That would be great. But if there are any questions, or if there's any other comments, or if you have any other ideas that I didn't touch on, I would love to hear them.
Can you do any surgery?
Can I, or?
Can somebody do surgery? to replace the declawed.
Oh, I wish we could do surgery to replace the declaw. That is not something that we have in our ability at this point. Cats don't like to accept prosthetics, so I have a feeling that that's not going to be something we can do. Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
Hope springs
Is it
eternal.
unreasonable for a shelter to implement no adoptions to people who say they're gonna declaw their cat?
No, not at all.
Is it reasonable to implement no adoptions to people who say they are going to declaw? That is going to be up to you and your community. I personally, I don't know how you can police it. That's the problem. You can say, if you're going to declaw, I'm not going to adopt you. The person could just lie, or they're going to go somewhere else. So it is a
Goes back to education.
yeah, it's an education opportunity.
And what about the veterinary schools, the students, do they, inform them,
Do
about-
students learn not to declaw? There's only one school in the nation that declaws at this point. Yeah, it's Kansas. Yep. All right, thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a little break here, so feel free to mingle around, network. If you're missing a purse or a pair of bifocal lens glasses, they're out here in the front. A purse or bifocal lens glasses out in the front.